What's up, my fellow scruffy looking nerf herders, and welcome to the Carbonite Chat. Today we're going to be talking about The Last Shot, the new novel that just came out today that's supposed to be covering Han Solo and Lando prior to the happenings of the Solo, a Star Wars story coming out. Interestingly, as I was shocked to find out from the prologue, and at least as far as I got in part 1 for this video, that hasn't happened yet. There was one part that was a flashback, but so far it's all been 2 years after Return of the Jedi. And as I'm sure you've noticed from the title, the intrigue of this is two things. One, the incredibly terrible reading of the audiobook by the author of this, Daniel Jose something. I can't remember his last name. Why they decided to let him read a chapter, I do not know. I hope it doesn't continue. He read the one part. It's not even really got chapters. It's prologue, part 1, and then it just, where it would be a chapter, it's, you know, this is happening at Bespin now. This is happening at Chandrilla now. This is happening at Tokadana 15 or 10 years ago. This is happening here now. And it sounds weird. I'm sure it doesn't look as bad as it sounds in novel form, reading it. But him reading was the most unfitting thing I've ever heard in my life. It was just, I can't even describe it. It was awful. The writing's not been great so far. It hasn't been The Last Jedi terrible, but it hasn't been great. I'm not going to jump on it being terrible yet, but one thing they have kept consistent, and that is the men are terrible, or at least Han is. If you thought Han was a good father, this book is here to tell you he was not. Despite, again, this is much like the Poe Dameron situation, where you look at it and you say, well, wait a minute, no, this is all pretty solid stuff. What are they talking about? You know, this seems logical. If someone would just, you know, speak logically, talk about what's obviously there, they would then say, oh no, yeah, no, you're doing good. But this is set out to make Han look like a bad father, or they're going to say that, you know, he thinks of himself as a bad father, but there's never any time to say like, no, you're good. Like, this is your first kid. No one's like the best parent in the world when they first get a kid, and it sets out Leia as just brilliant, but yet she's so brilliant, but she can't make the simple comment that he's doing good enough or doing well even. But before I get into that, let's begin to go through it. So the prologue starts out, and it's Bespin. It says now, which is 2 years after Return of the Jedi. Now Lando is no longer the head of Bespin, and he started his own Lando Enterprise, which is something that's kind of building these droids to sell. And he's still on Bespin. He's still got this like suite that he's at, and he's with this toilet girl, and he goes off, and then this cloaked figure shows up and does something to this droid that he's with, or that Lando was with, and it turns the droid into a killer. So the droid's into a killer, saying, just thinking of the little plot hole issues along the way already. But so just touches him basically, and it sets the droid to go be a killer. So the droid goes in, doesn't kill anything, stuns Lobot, and it says that, you know, Lobot wasn't the one that's supposed to kill, so it didn't kill it. So okay, that's fine. Then it goes, it decides to set the gun to stun before going into the next door that it thinks Lando's in. Why? Because reasons. It couldn't kill Lando, so they had to, you know, set it to stun for points, because the droid has been set to kill, and it keeps repeating must kill over and over and over again, and it said the droid could sense a little bit of its original programming trying to fight back because it's not supposed to harm humans, but yet it just has an only desire to kill Lando. Yet it sets the gun to stun. So it stuns Lando and nothing happens. Then it cuts back to goes to Chandrila, and Han's there, laying there holding his baby, Ben Solo. He's then awoken by Mon Mothma. And Mon Mothma, now, for whatever reason, is basically playing the role of Emmeline Holdo in this, in which she's just rude for no reason. She interrupts Han while he's sleeping with his baby boy, and then as the baby Ben begins to like cry, Han's worked out like, you know, hey, I was just sleeping with my kid, and then he chews out the droid that delivered the message to Han, waking the baby up, and says, why didn't you go take this to Leia? Clearly this isn't for me. And I want to say that Emmeline Holdo because it's what she's like. Mon Mothma goes, excuse me, if you don't mind, maybe you should treat droids a little bit nicer because they're only here to help us. And he's like, actually, no, I do mind because it's my droid and it's my house. And you can't tell me what to do in my house. She's like, I'm not in your house. And he's like, yeah, but you did call here and you woke up my baby. So yeah, you're in the wrong here. Maybe. I mean, just kind of logic. But and then so she just kind of and then hangs up. I guess I've just been so used to this crap now. When I was first reading through it, I mean, I realized I was dumb when it happened and it sounded terrible, but now just repeating it, it's like, wow. This is maybe saying that I don't know if the novel's that bad yet. It's that bad. This is the prologue and the beginning of it. That's, yeah, it's not great at all. That's pretty terrible. So then Han goes and, he's kind of talking about how, he's not sure if he can be, if he can be a good father. He's worried because, something can happen to Ben. He's finally realized that, Leia can take care of herself. The war's over, but now he's got this little baby and he's so worried because something could happen to it. See, this is a good father, of course. But then that flips it around on the story. And then Leia comes in and goes, oh no, what did you do to my little boy? Why is he crying? Han, did you not feed him? And he's like, I was just sleeping. And so it turns it into, oh no, the baby's crying. So it's Han's fault because Han's a bad parent because he didn't feed the baby. Not Mon Mothma, who woke the baby up and then chewed Han out because Han spoke a certain way to a droid. A droid. I jokingly made the video a while back on the Last Jedi thing about how they're trying to make it into this, like, the droids are this, beaten down minority group or whatever. Fine, if you want to play that storyline, fine. But seriously, here, your missed situation, that's what you want to do. It seems more like you want to go out of your way and do whatever you can, however you can, to give an excuse for a female character to yell out a male character. So then everything kind of settles down a little bit, and Han's sitting there, and he hears some knocking on the balcony, and so he gets trying to figure out what it is. He sneaks over to the door. He realizes it's Lando, and he's like, jackpot, what's up, Lando? He opens it, realizes Lando's not smiling, and Lando knocks him out, which is, I mean, kind of funny. I actually kind of like this little bitty part, very small part, but I do like the idea of Lando being pissed off and just decking Han, just because it's kind of it's fitting guy thing, but then it goes to the explanation. So Lando hit him because after being stunned, the hooded character, which we now find out is actually a droid, is questioning him about the Phylux Redux transmitter that was stolen from that droid's owner, and they want it back. And they said if they don't get it back, that they're going to destroy Bespin. And Lando's worried because Lando runs a droid facility now, and he's got guards, and he's very protected, and because he's always been on the run, he's taken lots of steps to make sure he can never, as the book says, get got, because, you know, it's a 50 Cent album. And that's a really old reference, which shows how much music I listen to, but I just, get got made me think of Get Rich or Die Trying. But anyway, enough of the off-topic things, but yeah, the author reading it still got me thrown off. So in it, Lando says that they said that the owner of the Millennium Falcon stole it 10 years ago, and they want it back, or they're going to destroy Bespin. So here, let's just look at this a little bit. It's such an important thing that they're going to destroy Bespin in 3 days if Lando doesn't get it back. But it was stolen 10 years ago? 10 years ago, it was stolen. And now they need to get it back so bad that in 3 days he'll destroy Bespin. Talk about a great little story idea there. I mean, why couldn't it, anything else? Why couldn't you just start the story talking about this mission that they go on where they steal this thing? Because this is the way it's setting up, that it's going to go back in time and explain what happens with this story. So why not just start there instead of create this bogus idea that has to force Lando and Han to work together when it makes zero sense? If this was so important, he wouldn't wait 10 years. Also, if he's so spectacularly talented that he could break into Lando's stuff, break through his other droids so easily, and get all the way into his secret little protected area so quickly, wouldn't he known over this 10 years that Lando not only doesn't own the Millennium Falcon right now, but that he didn't even own it at that point in time? Like, it's not a secret. It's not like Han isn't being flashy about that he owns the Millennium Falcon. I mean, this isn't a secret. This is something he brags about. It's his baby. I mean, it's his pride and joy. But this mastermind that we're supposed to fear and be afraid of, his immense, wit and, danger, because he's so smart and can do so many things. I mean, he's terrifying, really. I say he. We don't know if it's a he. It. Whatever it is. They're going to come after him. And, he waited 10 years, and now that 10-year button is over with, and now it's serious. I will wait 10 years, sir, but I will not wait 10 years and 3 days. That is too far. Too far. I mean, 3,653 days? No, thank you. I will not do it. Actually, that'd be leap years. It says 3,655 days. I'm not waiting that long. No. So now that that's settled, we know the seriousness of this. That's when we hop back in time to Takodana 10 years before, which really doesn't have much of anything other than Lando's drunk at this point. Han's drunk at this point and really, really hungover. And Sana Staros is in this, who apparently is the one that comes up with the idea to steal this transmitter. And Han decides to go with her. And she's basically mocking him most of the time. She's able to hold her alcohol better than he is. And then she's outwitting him and basically, making Han look dumb throughout this thing. And then the Hosks show up and they start bickering with her. And this goes on for way too long, for no reason. They bicker. and she apparently stole their speeder and wrecked it. And so now they want payback. And so she's like, well, I've got my Wookiee, talk to him. And Han's like, that's not your Wookiee, how dare you say that. And then they fight, and then it's over with, and then it moves on. It was just great. It had as much relevance to the story as Canto Bight. Almost as interesting. And from that point, it goes back to Chandrila, because we needed to find out that bit of information. Like, you needed to know then that the very pertinent details. And so when we get back, Han is struggling with being a father still. He's thinking about how much he screwed up. That everything he does is wrong. You know, he tries to give the kid a gun but then Leia's like, no, you can't give him a gun. That's gonna, cause him to be dangerous or hurt himself. And he's like, oh, then he takes the gun, but then Ben cries. And it keeps going, back and forth on all these little things that he makes. Because everyone knows, stupid men, we just give babies guns. Yeah, we're so dumb and stupid, we just give them guns. But then Leia says, hey, you didn't have a father coming up. Your father wasn't around, so you got to learn, and it's going to take time. And he was like, and so there's a partial, like, oh, it's not that bad, don't worry. And then he goes, but that was a year ago, and I still can't do anything. So not like just end on like, hey, everyone struggles to begin with, which is true. I mean, that's what happens. You are not prepared for what you have to deal with in those situations. Even if you're more prepared than others, you're still not going to know how to do every little thing. You're not going to figure out every time the baby cries why you got to do something. So instead of just like even leaving it at that, you have to then cut back to him saying, yeah, but that was a year ago and I still can't do it. Why not say, I don't know, okay, your father, you didn't have a father around, but hey, at least you're around. You know how you used to be a smuggler and you could never be counted on? But now I know, since this is Leia speaking, now I know anytime I go, because she's doing all the politics and stuff, while Han's staying at home with the baby, taking care of the baby, which I won't get into all that, but he's staying home with the baby. It's like, hey, but at least you're here and you care. I know if anything was about it, if someone tried to hurt Ben, you're going to just destroy them. You're going to fight tooth and nail to protect that child. I know that. And I know you love him. And that's all that really matters, is that you love him and you'll learn. You didn't have a father figure growing up. But you're going to figure this out because you care for him and you're there for him. And those are the two most important things. But no. You're just an idiot. You just hand guns to babies and you're stupid, so you suck. So then we move a little bit further forward, and Han has joined this kind of Republic's Pilots Commission, a council or something along those lines. And he joined it and he doesn't know why he joined it. And honestly, I don't know why he joined it, like for the storyline, because they get there and the meeting's annoying and he's thinking about all of this stuff and thinking about whether or not he should go help Lando because he owes Lando, and Lando seems to be worried. And then he's starting to think about like, oh, well, if I leave, it'll just be better for Ben anyways. He'll be better off without me there. Like, this is what we're talking, like, better off, like, yeah, sure, there we go. That's great. The family of Star Wars is, still staying there. That whole thing about, Star Wars is about families. And yeah, it was kind of screwed up, some of the real families, but it was, putting together the group and showing that those coming together would overall defeat the evil. But no, not this. It's better off without a father, because statistically that's not the highest marker for the likelihood of someone ending up in jail or being in poverty, is that you did not have a father in the home. But hey, there we go, Disney. Positive stuff you're teaching our kids up on. I believe this is actually a junior novel, so we're trying to teach those kids up properly. Like, if you can't do it, man, if you struggle at something just a little bit, just leave, because it'll be better for them. You know, if you have a kid and it's kind of tough, just leave, because it'll be better for the kid. That's right, it'll be better for the kid. So then he's going home. He decides, I need to go with Lando. I need to get out. Because, you know, Leia can handle the politics. She just enjoys it, but I need the open space and freedom. And I need to go. I need to help out Lando. And like you said, Ben's going to do better without him. So he's heading there, and he's thinking about, God, I'm going to fight with Leia. Leia's not going to want me to leave. You know, she's going to say how you always just end up leaving and running off. And then it brings up that he did that before from the Aftermath novel books. Aftermath novels, where he went and helped go to Kashyyyk with Chewie to free the home planet. As if that was a bad thing. As if it wasn't something that Leia wanted to do as well. That Leia didn't actually show up and help them in that situation as well. That the only reason Leia wasn't there was because she was like 9 months pregnant at the time, and because Mon Mothma wouldn't allow it to happen. And so Han could leave, and Leia actually sent a fleet after them with Radis. But no, this was a bad thing. This was Han running off and not caring about people. No, that's what it was. It wasn't because he cares so much. This is sounding more and more like the Poe situation now that I think about it. And so then they get there, he gets there, and Leia's understanding. And that bothers him even more. It makes him not want to go anymore because she's understanding. Because, why? Because apparently he's just an insufferable prick now. That he wanted to leave, but now that she wants him, like, now that she's like, no, that's a good idea, now he doesn't want to leave. It's like, well, fine, if I can't do the wrong thing, then I don't even want to go. If you're okay with me doing it, then what's the fun in doing it, you know? Because I'm a man, and we're stupid. So she of course understands, because she's a woman, and she understands perfectly, and just she deals with everything with such grace and brilliance, and it makes him feel bad, but he knows he needs to go, and this would be a point to end it, because that's a logical point to stop there with the storyline. But before they close out this chapter and move to the next one, he says, but that still doesn't mean he's going to be a great dad. What? What? What does this even have to do with this moment? What does this have to do? He's wanting to leave to help out a friend. She understands why he needs to go and help his friend. But that doesn't make him a great dad. Well, of course it doesn't. Because it doesn't have anything to do with this. Him doing this moment right here has nothing to do with making him a great dad. If anything, the only thing that could happen is him leaving the kid is not being a great dad. But you say it in such a way that it's like, but he knows doing this won't make him a great dad. Like, as if there was a possibility that doing this it could have, but he knows deep down that this isn't going to make him a great dad. It doesn't even make sense. Oh, man. This is going to be another insufferable one. I went into this like, you know what? No one's ever going to believe me. No one's ever going to believe I went into this with a positive attitude. I mean, you know, I was like, yeah, it'll be a cool story about Han and Lando. How bad could this be? Now, we haven't even gotten to the actual story points of what this, you know, is with going back in time. And actually the stuff of what's going on with the characters of the movie that this book's even supposed to be about, you know, prior to the Solo movie. But I guess that'll be what we will cover in the next video. So, I look forward to it. I'm sure you do now after hearing such a raving review of how positively perfect it is. But, not much else to say to that. Yeah, off to a 10 out of 10 stars so far on this book. Can't wait to read more. Thank you very much for watching. And never forget, you Nerf herders, I love you.